I am Joan, your freaky philosopher, and you are my absolute reason. Welcome to Absolute Reason Mentorship Program, where we will specifically focus on gender ideology. But before we go down that road, let me first establish for you, the observer, exactly what absolute reason is as a concept. The concept of absolute reason is an effort to translate and teach the Vedic knowledge of Sanatana Dharma, which is the eternal laws that govern all of life. It is an intelligent medium that is relative to the 21st century mind, by which the individual can discover the true nature of reality, both interior and exterior. You will soon realize that everything I do with a specific reason, even though that reason may be hidden from you. The same thing goes for the names I have chosen for the various concepts and aspects that is capsulated within absolute reason. But first, let's look at the name, absolute reason, and we look at exactly what I meant with this. Once you understand the name, you will also understand better what constitution governs my every action. The following definitions are from Helena Blavatsky. Absolute stands for the constitution of the infinite creative powers which collectively form the one eternal substance, the essence of that which is indestructible. And then when you go and look at the definition of reason, it is an intelligent design where everything is interconnected and interlinked in an organic manner, so that everything becomes as important as the other. Sacred physics, which is basically the operating system that we will use to discover the true nature of reality, has the definition, once again through Helena Blavatsky, as sacred's definition is the source of appropriate measures, and physics being the cosmic motion, the visible or that which is subject to perception, is finite and periodical and fractal. That means it's not eternal, but sacred is eternal because that is the source of appropriate measures. So in a nutshell, whether you are a young adult, an executive, or a parent, secretly we all long to understand the hidden mysteries within. Absolute reason serves as an intelligent medium that gradually reveals the sacred structure that govern and order natural law, both interior and exterior to the individual. It is a solution-based philosophy that courageously teaches the seeker how the gradual conversion of metaphysics to physics comes about through the knowledge of self. Energy and matter as the first counterparts created within this dual nature are studied not as independent realities, but as the two eyes of absolute being, which constitute the basis of conditioned being, whether subjective or objective. Now that you better understand what governs my constitution and the constitution of absolute reason and sacred physics, we can begin the mentorship program with a focus on gender ideology. It is time to bring wisdom to chaos. All of life is supported through relativities, which means we need to create and identify a couple of baseline relativities that will support our venture into gaining better understanding around gender ideology. The first relativity placed is one that will supply us with a baseline identification of what is currently happening in society with regards to gender ideology. I make use of Abigail Schreier's lecture at Hillsdale College that is based on her book Irreversible Damage. This book specifically focuses on science and the transgender phenomenon in the young, specifically adolescent girls. I don't know Abigail Schreier personally. I've never had a conversation with her, but she must be a fantastic journalist. Not only does this reflect in her work, but it reflects in how she begins this lecture. And she begins it with questions. And this is a fantastic place to begin any adventure into the true state or the true nature of reality. So many of us have forgotten the value of a good question. We have forgotten how to formulate a proper question. And in an age of technology where so much information is available, the power of a good and well-placed question will define your outcome. Abigail asks, how did we get to a place where we are supposed to pretend that the only way you know that I am a woman is if I give you my pronouns? Or that a 15-year-old can, in Oregon, get access to testosterone without parental permission? Abigail also just pops in there with one identified answer as to how we find ourselves in this position. And this one qualifying answer is conservative squeamishness about issues we'd rather not deal with at all. I think she's being a little subtle in that conclusion. From personal experience, I can tell you not only with the relativity of gender ideology, but also with the relativity of sacred physics. So many of us out there get squeamish about things that are different to us. And even more than that, we get squeamish about anything that seems a little bit of hololo, hocus pocus, a little bit of, oh, dare us use the word occult. And I have to right now. I have to use the word occult. Because the further we go into this process, the more you're going to begin to see the metaphysical aspect of what it is I teach. And if you are unable, as an individual, to suspend your own hocus pocus ideas around what the occult is, if you cannot suspend those ideas just for a moment throughout this mentorship program, you will forever have a proper block in and around yourself that will prevent you from helping your child. You have to suspend all it is you think you know. Just suspend it. Don't throw it out. Suspend it. And when you return after the knowledge you gained, you can compare the knowledge gained with your own ideas. And from that, you form an understanding, which then places you in the next spot for the next discovery. So now that we understand that there is a need to suspend all that it is we think we know in an authentic effort to move from darkness to light by discovering the true nature of reality. Now that we understand that, we can go further into Abigail Schreier's lecture, where she goes into a little bit more detail around what is gender dysphoria. She uses about 100 years study in reference to the conclusions that she states here. Abigail says, the severe discomfort in one's biological sex is absolutely real. It's also exceedingly rare, typically afflicting roughly only 0.01% of the population. And get this, it is overwhelmingly males who are affected by this. So roughly 1 in 10,000 males are affected by gender dysphoria. This gender dysphoria typically begins in early childhood. This is ages 2 to 4. So if your child comes back from university and she has played with dolls and Barbies all her life, but all of a sudden comes back as Joe or John or Koos, well, you can be pretty sure that the gender dysphoria that was studied over a 100-year period is not what applies to your daughter. But Abigail continues. She says, little boys who were insistent, consistent, and persistent in this feeling that they were in the wrong body.